Hello everyone, good to see you again, or virtually at least. Thanks for your submissions. The first submissions I have now are all together, and I will try and grade them as soon as I can. So I will let you know when I have some responses to convey. But now what I'm going to do is a couple of things. I'm going to produce a video relating to the first segment of Strauss's 1997 article, Voice Leading in Atonal Music. And that'll run from pages 237 to 248, so just short of the first excerpt that you've already got as a PDF. So I'm going to cover those pages, and that'll be an introduction to this topic as Strauss himself has published on it in a research capacity. We'll continue that with two further articles. So in this particular excerpt, there will be 6 questions. So 6 questions to answer, and I'm going to upload it so that it's available to you at the normal class time on Monday. So that'll be Monday the 13th. So expect to see the YouTube links in an email. And so let's get straight on with the text, because I think there's a storm coming which may affect this video. So I'm sorry if I'm going to disappear into the darkness. There's not really much I can do about that. So right at the beginning, Strauss says this, that there are 3 models that we can consider for post-tonal voice leading. The first is what he calls prolongational. So prolongational, which derives from the work of Heinrich Schenker. The second is associational. So associational, which derives from the work of Alan Fort. And the third is transformational. So transformation derives from the work of David Lewin. And if you look at footnotes 1 to 3 on pages 237 to 238, possibly 239, you'll see that each footnote deals with each of these approaches. So there's an extensive series of bibliographic references there devoted to each approach in turn. It's a very useful series of footnotes to just deal with the prior history of work in these particular areas. If we move on then to page 239, example 1 is split into 3, so there's A, B and C. The 3 example components there model each of these possibilities in turn. So example 1A is prolongational, 1B is associational, and 1C is transformational. It's the same excerpt in each case. It's imaginary. It's not from an actual piece. Here then is question 1. What 2 problems does Strauss identify with regard to example 1A as a prolongational reading? He said there are 2 problems. It looks well formed, but there are 2 weaknesses that it has. What are those weaknesses? So again, very short answers, couple of words I think at the most will do in both cases. So moving on. The shortcomings he notes in relation to post-tonal prolongation, he says, are consequent on the ambiguity of the total chromatic considered as a scale in the absence of consonance and dissonance. Hence, he says it's impossible to distinguish reliably between structural and non-structural tones. So we can't tell what is a structural tone, what is a non-structural tone for sure. He says that, of course, there may be, in that example, some sort of vestigial tonal implications. I think he says it might be D-centered. It might have a relationship to D, but the context is ambiguous because there are not clear triadic relations which are functionally connected. Question 2, then. Example 1b shows the associational connections that may be identified in relation to a trichord, and that is set class 015. The 3 simultaneities are supplemented by a further form at the top of the texture, another 015 that's picked out. Does Strauss label this upper sequence a line or a voice? Does he see that as a line or a voice? So moving forward, Strauss goes on to distinguish between line and voice by regarding voice as an ideal phenomenon, where line is a contextual phenomenon. So voice is ideal, line is contextual. You could say that part, what people play or sing, that is real. Voice is ideal, line is contextual. He says that in the case of voice, the connections depend on operational transformation. So we're now looking at example 1C. In other words, each pitch class in the first case moves to another pitch class in the second case, and on it goes forwards again through a sequence of mappings. So question 3 is about those mappings. You'll notice that each pitch class is connected to the pitch classes it's mapped onto through a sequence of straight lines, and that IXY pairs show prominently connected index sum related dyads. And if you look at footnote 9, that helps to explain that. So he's picked out particularly prominent dyads that exemplify the mappings that occur there inversionally. So here's my question. Although he shows us IXY connections, how could we alternatively show chords 1 and 2 linked together and 2 and 3 if we used TNI or IN notation? So what would be the IN or TNI alternative notation for firstly chords 1 and 2 and then chords 2 and 3 considered as pairs? So Straus says that modelling these relationships involves calculation in pitch class rather than pitch space. They may occur musically in pitch space, but we understand them in pitch class space. He says that indeed theorists have referred to this historically as an example of pitch class counterpoint. Straus goes on to say that through pitch class counterpoint, we can move from simply specifying collection types to actually showing the ways that they are linked. He says if we were thinking in terms of linguistics, then this would be a move from vocabulary, pure and simple, to syntax. So in other words, how things are connected causally. Causal connection here then depends on two very familiar associations we've already talked about quite a bit in the course, and those are, of course, transposition on the one hand and inversion on the other. So I'm going to end now this video with 3 additional questions. Here is question 4. Straus says that some of the connections will be apparent on the musical surface, that is, as represented literally by the instrumental and vocal parts, while others will not. In example 2C on page 246 from a piece by Roslavitz, how far away is the T3 partner from E-flat 4 according to Straus? He says that E-flat 4 has a T3 partner, but he also specifies how many semitones below it is. So just tell me how many semitones away the partner is. Question 5. In footnote 12, Straus says that each of the chords from Stravinsky's Soldier's Tale, l'Histoire du Soldat, shown in example 2D on page 246, can be represented in 2 ways because they are symmetrical collections, symmetrical tetrachords. He says he's modelled them here in TN terms as T10 related. But if we were using TNI or IN notation, what would be the relationship? So tell me in those same 2 chords how we connect them, example 2D, in terms of TNI or IN notation. Last of all then, question 6. What term does Straus use in connection with the common tones evident in example 3B, that's now page 247, from Amy Beecher's String Quartet. So example 3B, page 247, from Amy Beecher's String Quartet. So I want to know the term that's actually describing those common tones. It's a familiar term from tonal theory. And secondly, what is the TNI-IN relationship here? So I want the term, 2 words, and I want to have also the TNI or IN relationship spelt out, if you can do that. Okay, very good. So I'm going to end the video here. I'm going to upload it. I'll send you the link, and I will also send you the next segment of Straus, which we will work on later in the week. So what I'll look for is answers from you by Wednesday, probably 2:15, and then I'll post the next video, I hope, on Thursday. All right, hope everybody is well, and I'll look forward to hearing from you in due course. All right, bye.